Captain, and I'm going to start this documentary by making a few claims that I will back up with undeniable evidence. I've located lands that have been hidden from us, multiple massive landmasses that are beyond our known world, fully chartered, and I have the means to set sail in multiple vessels that I own once I've secured crews, including a second captain. Let me show you what no one else is capable of. If watched in full context, what I've got to show you will blow your mind repeatedly, including that the hidden lands that surround us are fully built out with old world architecture and infrastructure, just like how we see all around us. That the flat earth model is purposely incorrect and designed to deceive you. There is no...
What's up, Connie? Good to see you. I haven't seen this. People talking about it. I gotta watch it. Man, fuck it. Let's do it. This guy's like,
ice wall, and I'll prove it.
I don't know.
Everything you think you know about Tartaria is wrong. I figured out the entirety of the last great reset of humanity worldwide, and it only ended in 1860. Undeniably proven and fully explaining the mud flood aftermath. Australia and its natives are not what you think they are, and that our entire recent timeline has been fabricated. After decades of personal research down the rabbit hole, dividing truth from sheer conspiracy and fantasy, following a spiritual path that's been guided, I've took all the relevant individual research subjects and I've pieced them together. Not just put subjects side by side, but fuse them together. One topic only makes sense and fuse with the previous, all in context. But only by doing this can any of us see the bigger picture, knowledge combined. If a picture says 1,000 words, and our eyes can see 1,000 lies, see it to believe it. This documentary was not created to attempt to wake the soulless non-player characters that surround us. They're not programmed to acknowledge or question the world around them. This documentary is for you, the small amount of truly enlightened human beings in this world. Not to go all Morpheus on you, but you've felt it all of your life. Always been the odd one out. You've always known that something just isn't quite right about this place. You've followed your senses, your intuition, your heart, your common sense, and what your eyes tell you. I'll never tell anybody what to do or think. I can only guide you. But if you are truly enlightened, you're more than capable to think for yourself and resonate with the truth.
Okay, we're watching. What's up, Jeeps? I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about this guy, man. I got highly recommended by New Perspective, Dave. He's like, you got to watch this shit. I'm like, all right, man. Here we go. I might live stream it. Let's do it. All right. Here we go. It looks well put together already, man. Right? It looks pretty well put together.
And for that reason, as I move as quickly as I can from topic to topic to get my main points across and show you your reality, I'll show sufficient evidence to every single claim that I make along the way. Anyways, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum, so it's time to get your sunglasses on.
Get your sunglasses
I
on.
decided to severely shorten down this section of my already long and information-packed documentary, wasting 25 minutes of enlightened people's time adding unnecessary proofs of the shape of the lands beneath our feet and the heavens above. This is entry-level knowledge, the basics, but essential knowledge to comprehend your reality.
Got it.
If at this point you still think that Neil deGrasse Tyson is an intelligent man and we live on a globe spinning at 1,000 miles per hour while spinning around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, while the sun's spinning around the Milky Way at 447,000 miles per hour, while the Milky Way's spinning around some other pseudoscience that they can't even explain. A spinny globe with magical gravity, holding down bendy oceans while my pint of crack and rum goes unaffected.
Oh, I like this guy. A pint and a crack of rum. I like it. I like this guy a lot.
Never mind Great Lakes and Olympic-sized swimming pools. with fake CGI cartoon space, cartoon planets, cartoon stars, cartoon space stations, astronauts in space, cartoon satellites with cringy realities, Elon's shit cartoon car, Freemasons land on a plasma moon with tinfoil spaceships, upside down umbrellas, and embarrassing clip art cartoons from the moon. If at this point during the awakening you still believe all that, either go see the man that's enlightened the most souls in this world, Mr. Eric DeBay, and come back to this presentation once you've got your big boy pants on, or go back to watching funny cat videos, jacking off to midget porn, and discussing 9/11 for another couple of
Did he say midget porn? That's weird. That's creepy.
decades. I don't care either way.
What the fuck? He don't care. Go back.
When it comes to old world architecture, it's evident that these amazing structures were not built by our recent ancestors and our
The bendy oceans. Bendy water. Poncho. Where's the bendy water?
fabricated timeline. Once I'd put together the past world resets, which I'll explain in detail, I was able to distinguish four main different timelines of architecture, all separated by one or more worldwide catastrophic events of destruction. I generalise these four timelines as the ancient architecture, massive structures made from solid stone, oversized in every way, some severely weathered, eroded, melted, and even destroyed beyond recognition.
That's some seriously melting shit right there, man. Damn. Yeah, that's crazy.
The second timeline structures, which I'll refer to as old world architecture, and that's practically everything the AI narrative wrote being founded in the 1900s, during a time frame that I'll prove only had 10% or less of the previous world's population.
Gotcha.
The events that buried this world in mud. The third timeline of architecture won't make any sense until I've explained the past reset, but this is everything that was built by the civilization pre-reset. And again, I will prove to you that
it's been proven to me. I could probably skip this part, but go ahead.
the previous timeline civilization did not build the ancient or old world architecture,
No shit.
which are all these rounded type castles, battlement shapes along the tops, mostly battle damaged or falling apart. But don't get these mixed up with the more impressive old world castle type structures, or the ancient star forts that are all over the world.
Oh, good old star forts, man. Love me a good star fort, man.
The less skilled pre-reset timeline peoples made much more primitive timber-framed houses, higgledy-piggledy wonky walls, solid, thick-walled, high thermal, thatched roofs. Like their predecessors, they also built a lot of red brick houses. Not quite as impressive as the old world's timelines buildings, but still very nice solidly built structures. And all of the terrace type houses. And the fourth timeline of architecture.
Hey, that looks like my house. Kind of.
Is our timeline,
It's the same color.
which is everything from about 1860 onwards. Ugly, boring, lifeless, box skyscrapers, box apartments.
That shit's disgusting, man. Box apartments. Look at that shit. Ugh.
Box houses made with temporary, flimsy, cheap materials or steel and glass. Proving that the mainstream narrative has been falsified is easy in supposedly new countries like America, Canada and Australia. Countries that shouldn't have ancient and old world buildings, but they all do. This channel's called My Lunch Break. This channel's dedicated to prove
My lunch break. His name's Kenny. I followed him when he had, I think, around 80,000 subscribers. I think he's close to 300,000. 258,000. Interesting guy. I learned a few things. I don't care for his video style so much. He's got a lot of background music, But he's brought up some things I never looked at. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. His name's Kenny. Yeah, I thought, give him a chance. Let's go my lunch break. But he's blown up, and he's like selling coffee, and he's selling fucking. I like the guy, but he's cocking it up. Making some money. I get it, man. You got to pay the bills, but he does mention anybody that does support him. I appreciate that. It takes like 5 minutes to get through it because he's got a lot of people supporting him. So, anyway. Yeah, lunch break's gone into some cool stuff. Catacombs. Yeah, he's done some work. I'm like, damn, man, my boy's on it. But anyway, good stuff.
Within architectural lies, and that the AI has written our narrative of history.
We are told that the USA begins in 1776. Immediately after, 16 years later, we have the stock market open up. And as we have talked about before, and this is where evolution, for whatever reason, finally starts to work for once. And the whole world supposedly becomes so intelligent and starts creating flying crafts and engines and phones, trains, TVs, and the rest of it. This is absolutely insane to believe. Then we
It is crazy, Kenny. It's fucking crazy. Dude, we got all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. Here, all this stuff.
We have Australia that comes into the picture in 1901. The main issue that we have here is that we have the construction from the past civilization that is sitting here staring at us right in our faces. Buildings that we do not recreate today in 2023. Cities such as Budapest that have a coffee shop, a parliament building, and chocolate museums that look straight out of the movies. We have identified nearly 100 fire stories to this point. We're building.
Yeah, he's brought a lot of that to light. I think the fire story is pretty interesting. And then the tunnels. He's got a lot into tunnels and the fire story, man, and then he goes into like, okay, it was this architecture and he won a contest. Winning the contest to design the building is something he brought to light. I think it's fucking hilarious. Like, the guy won a contest and he designed the building, but he never build a building or not. He doesn't know the structural integrity of buildings, but yeah, he won the contest. It looks good.
That are said to be built in the 1800s that clearly are from the old world are completely destroyed due to a fire, even though they're mostly made of stone, which is not flammable. This is the beginning of waking up the masses, understanding this massive historical lie, understanding that there was a previous civilization right before us that is no longer here. Where they went or what even took place that removed them from this place is what we want to know. They left all of their structures here for us to see. In my opinion, they left all of their technology, and the individuals who are supposedly so smart and evolution just hit them square in the face never created these things. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and on and on. Through my first 37 episodes, you will find hundreds of issues with the narrative, and we're just getting started. They were able to construct the St. Mark's Basilica in 4 years, from 820.
See, he's got that music thing going. I mean, it's dramatic music. It's I don't know. I don't think it's cool. What do you guys think, man? I don't know. He could do it without the music. It would probably be just as good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you could build that, Jeeps, man. You got it.
8 to 8.
You just rock that baby out, man. Come on, you got this.
Construct the St. Mark's Basilica in 4 years, from 828 to 832, but didn't have a light bulb? Give me a break. They built the inside with candlelight. Oh, and don't forget that it lasts forever. Unlike anything that...
Yeah, it would be better without the music, right? He's good. He brings up good stuff, but that music and the cock, come on, man. You're killing me, Kenny. You're killing me, bro.
The inside with candlelight. Oh, and don't forget that it lasts forever. Unlike anything that we build today, even though this was in a time period before they even knew how to make paper, it really is incredible that once you get it, you don't go back.
What's up, Freddie? What's up, Fred Kerr 2000?
Back to not getting it. You can see it all very clearly in nearly every town in the world. This past civilization had much more technology that we have not been given back yet. we have been given the car back, the train, the plane, the TV and cell phones, the light bulb and computers, internet and power tools. All major movies have been recreated. They know what we like. Refrigerators, cameras, GPS, video games, all of this in the last 300 years. In my opinion, like I've said, they have had all of this technology, and this includes AI. I'm starting to find the same narrative.
He's right about that. Was this made in 2023? Fuck, man. It's 3 years ago. Yeah, he's talking about the AI. 3 years ago?
Too many times, all over the world. I am now leaning towards an AI that most likely created all of these insane, ridiculous narratives. For every one of these builds.
Yeah, that's a good point he brings up, man. Is that he's like, dude, look, it's like an AI. It's kind of repetitive. It's a fire. The architect guy was he won the contest. It's very repetitive, like AI would be. You know, it's interesting, man. He brings that up, and I thought that was a cool point he brought up. But
buildings, the repetition of the plots and the repetition of characters gives it all away. How long has AI, or more specifically this Chat GPT stuff, really been around? Do you think this is the first time? I definitely do not.
Many of these old world buildings were built in a similar style cosmetically to the ancients, and the builders clearly had a high level of knowledge and technology to create these masterpieces. But all of these structures from this second civilization and timeline are fakes in comparison cosmetically. Other than the obvious old world structures made with red brick, when it comes to these stone looking buildings, all of these are actually built with red brick. Now there's good reason for this, and I'll get onto it later, but as you can see with any damaged old world structure, they're only lined externally and internally with either thin stone tiles made to look like solid cut stone, or they use a poured type geopolymer render. Kinda like a superior type of cement that gets harder with time. This is a perfectly good old world building being demolished. As painful as these type of videos are to watch, most show us the telltale signs of the construction methods used to build it. As you can see, this tower is made from solid stone blocks. Or is it? Once it's coming apart, you can see that it's just a red brick building with a thin layer of stone tiles. Areas like the attic space, they wouldn't have bothered lining the internal with stone, as no one would have seen it. If you hadn't realised this before, you'll notice it all the time now looking at old world buildings. And I'm not dismissing how amazing these buildings are. Their built-in technology is beyond anything in modern times. Which takes us on to the next piece of the puzzle, commonly known as Antiquitech. The ancient
Antiquitech. Shout out to Martin. Antiquitech.
Ancient and old world civilizations knew how to harness an energy that's all around us called the ether, the fifth element that's been hidden from us. And the carbon-14 and iron oxide compound of the red bricks used to construct these old world buildings would act like a giant antenna and even hold charge. In 1887, the Michelson-Morley experiment attempted to prove their theory of the existence of the ether. Unfortunately, they never did due to their primitive technology of the time. Nearly 100 years later, in 1986, the US Air Force repeated their experiment and proven scientifically that the field of the ether existed. The results were published in a scientific journal called Nature in August 1986, headlined Special Relativity, Nature, Volume 322, page 590. There's no money in it for the cult with free, clean, sustainable energy for the world. So
That makes sense. That makes totally sense to me. How about you guys?
now they just deny the ether's existence. These are not religious symbols. When the cult created their religions to control and divide, they merely adopted these symbols as they were all over the buildings that were delegated as their houses of worship. You'll notice all original Antiquitech had these copper balls and antennas in the shape of the relevant symbols. This is the old world symbol for the ether. A symbol for the ether collecting ether. This is the old world symbol for Mercury. These copper balls had mercury inside. Only small amounts were needed, but with a simple magnet combined with a power source like the ether, this vortex would create its own magnetic field. Unfortunately, as the years go by, they replace this tech with their cheap wooden crosses. It's why most of these buildings have copper earthing cables running from the antenna top to the ground. And no, it's not for lightning strikes. The only time a church will have any issues is if this tech's been removed. The skilled builders of these masterpieces would have taken lightning into account before construction. Plus they were designed to harness energy and last forever. Does anybody really think it took our dumbed down society to come along and save these buildings that are probably thousands of years old? The last part of this subject, and something that will make more sense later on, are old world greenhouses. Incorporating geothermic technology, also harnessing the ether.
Yeah, no shit. I wish I would have learned this shit 20 years ago. No kidding. Come on, Jeeps, man. We're better than that. No, we're going to do something about it, but yeah. Nice greenhouse, right? Beautiful.
To grow super crops unaffected by the exterior elements. Greenhouses that are big enough to feed entire cities. A similar technology has become popular in recent years called electroculture, a technology that uses electrical currents from the ether to enhance plant growth.
Yeah, I've heard that theory. Going back years at this point.
The film you're about to see has no characters. If you spare a little of your imagination, it is a film to describe to you the effect of cymatic frequencies on matter.
That's super cool.
Watch the glass.
All right. I've seen this, man. I don't know if I'm buying it. I've seen this where the glass starts waving. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Let's check it out.
And now look at the metal, the steel.
Get the fuck out of here. Dude, I got 0 viewers, 0 chat. I got 12 views. Dude, it's getting censored, man. Damn, we're getting dude, I don't. I gotta see that. Okay, Jeeps, man, I gotta see it. San, hey, I gotta see it, man. I want to see that in person, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you crank up your fucking stereo. I want to see that shit, bro. Happy New Year, brother. Yeah. Good to see you. Dude, I remember seeing this video years ago. I'm like, damn, is it really gonna do that?
That's incredible, isn't it?
Fucking A, it's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, he can do it with water. But metal and glass, I mean, What the hell, man? Come on. Yeah, I've seen the levitation thing as well.
The ancient and old world structures that we now call cathedrals and churches are not just power stations. They were like the old world hospitals and GPs, giving out healing frequencies. By applying the same techniques and semantics and testing the frequency of the church bells chiming, they create the same patterns as the magnificent rose windows you'll see all around the structure itself.
Oh, here we go. This is cool.
The tolling bells would emit powerful vibrations and influence entire towns and their water supplies. Hence why there's tunnel systems under every cathedral, church and city worldwide. These fed the water supplies to its inhabitants around the cities. A technology taken from the ancients. The ether and the frequency of the bells would influence the molecular structure of the water. It'd be like drinking and bathing in life energy, life juice, the fountain of youth.
All right, Jeeps, man, you say you got a friend with an intense system that would make your eyes vibrate when you play the stereo. Interesting. But is it going to make your glass and your freaking car frame, start, waving out? I don't know, man. That seems pretty wild, dude. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to hold off and say, hey, at some point I need to see that with my own two eyes, somebody bending their car door or window with freaking, some killer cymatics. Yeah. I want to see that, bro. I want to see it. You want to see it. I want to see it.
These glass stained windows were not just for decoration, they're technology. The glass would harness the sun and moon's electro-radiation through the geometric pattern of the window, and the light on the inside takes the form of that frequency. Each frequency contains its own geometric pattern. By shining a light through a geometric pattern, it has healing on the human body and soul. It regenerates while vibrating at that same frequency. These structures also contain the most powerful sound instrument ever created, the brass organ and pipe.
The organ.
Breathtaking masterpieces. The organs would heal your organs.
The organs are going to heal your organs. Damn. I got to get me an organ. That's it.
It's a reason why the ancients and old world civilizations lived longer than us and grew larger than us today. They've removed our power source, our mojo. Unfortunately, most of these original bells and organs have been removed, replaced, or never used as intended. You'll find that any of these giant bells remaining today are purposely damaged.
The big bells, man. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of videos on the big bells. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. That looks like it was cut out with Photoshop, but, what do I know? I don't know. That looks a little Photoshop-ish to me. I don't know.
And the narrative of their destruction is that the bells were removed worldwide and melted down to make bullets, guns, bombs, and other military equipment by the call to give to us to murder each other with. Demonic as always. In 1955, the Rockefeller Foundation, backed up by the International Organization for Standardization, changed instruments and music key tones to 440 Hz. A dissident, conscious, suppressing, negative, unharmed.
That's some pretty damn good, like, if you can physically see, the vibrations from 432 to 440, you can see the difference. That, which is cool, man. 432, yeah, exactly, man. It's going to be life. And 440 is like this mixed up, cucked up, messed up. Yeah, it just looks horrible, man. It doesn't look cool. It's not good.
Ominous, destructive, messy, and harmful tone of frequency and vibration. I would recommend
Here's
changing
the
your entire
fucking
music
guru
playlist.
in the fucking house, and talking about the 432. This is the evidence for it. You can see it right there, man. Look, is there anything clearer? I mean, 432 looks patterned, it looks even, looks, natural. 440 is completely 100% scrambles, right? Yeah, it's complete shit, Alex. You know what I'm talking about.
Frequency and vibration. I would recommend changing your entire music playlist from 440 Hz to the widely available 432 Hz or the 528 Hz. You will feel the benefits. We're led to believe that we're just dumb monkeys that have to be taught how to speak, but even actual monkeys are born with the ability to communicate with their own kind. But dumb humans, we have to be taught to speak, read, write, do spellings and spell casting with the corked word.
Spell casting. When I learned about spell casting, I was like, damn, those cocks, those fucking Mongos screwed us over, right?
Communicate with their own kind. But dumb humans, we have to be taught to speak, read, write, do spellings and spell casting with the corked word magic and their backwards pig Latin languages that we all talk. But like always, in reality, the supreme beings do not need to be taught how to communicate. It's why they gave us all these separate languages and demonic religions, so we can't communicate with each other. So we can hate each other, kill each other, divide and conquer. The best research I've seen on the subject was from Mr. Dave Murphy on a documentary of his called The Language of Creation. Dave connected an ancient dead language that he referred to as Paleo-Hebrew, the original language, the language of God, and likely the language of the ancients. And I can hear a lot of you saying, Captain, did you just say Hebrew? Are you one of them? No. Paleo-Hebrew has nothing to do with Hebrew or Jews. Hebrew doesn't even have anything to do with Jews, but watch Dave's video if you want more on that. Paleo-Hebrew is a pictorial language of images, sounds and mouth vibrations, just like what's referred to as ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Many other creatures in this world use a pictorial language referred to as echolocation. Whales, dolphins, bats, lemurs, rats, birds and many more. They're not just making noises, they're transmitting and receiving images and sounds. A thematic experiment was made using dolphins, using a technique called climagraphs, which are patterns that represent dolphin language, similar to hieroglyphs. This particular experiment involved Jim McDough and a dolphin called a Maya. Jim entered the tank with a Maya and allowed it to do a clickety-click thing, recorded the feedback frequency, and through the climagraphs, this is the image that they got back. And to Maya, this image would have been in full HD with sound included. And it's why when this frequency was played to a different dolphin with a few different people in the tank, the new dolphin was able to pick Jim from the others. When it comes to humans,
that's
we
crazy,
are born
man.
with the ability to communicate with each other, but we are indoctrinated out of our own language.
I remember seeing this video, like the two babies talking to each other in some language, we don't understand. But yeah, I remember coming across that years ago. I was like, oh my goodness, man, yeah.
With the ability to communicate with each other, but we are indoctrinated out of our own language to where we don't even understand our own children when they're born and start to talk to us.
I heard years ago that if you took those kids and if you reverse the language, it would make it out. I don't know. That's something I heard. I can't verify that for sure, but I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, maybe, I don't know.
The way I managed to find the exact dates and events that led up to the last catastrophic reset of this world, every society living in it, their economies, the massacre of around 90% of the world's populations, and the takeover from the same parasites that still run this world today, was quite simple, to be fair. And I'd like to explain how, as this will help you understand my main discoveries later on. I've studied old world cartography for a long time. I'm in my 5th year living on the ocean in my sailing yacht. Navigation, charts and map reading is part of my daily life as a sailor. And I taught bushcraft and survival skills for a decade, including navigation, so I'd class myself as an expert on the matter. While comparing old and new world maps, I noticed a couple of main differences between them. The first was that no old world map shows ice anywhere. Never mind on the North Pole or any ice on the lands that surround our world. But by the 1900s, the 20th century, ice started appearing on world maps. Now, the narrative says there's always been ice in these areas, probably for like a trillion bajillion years, right?
Trillion bazillion years. That's hilarious.
There's no disputing that there is ice towards the north and near the lands known as Antarctica, which is rapidly melting. Most indoctrinated historians would just say that the cartographers that created these old world maps were just primitive morons and liars with huge imaginations, right? Fortunately for me, I know better. When you've got a map, for example the Abono Monte 1587, that's over 400 years old, but its charts are so accurate that I've used them to navigate the oceans today, I know that these cartographers of the past are way more knowledgeable and intelligent than most people of today. The second difference between old and new world maps were the shapes of the landmasses, and I'll quickly show you what I mean. So we've got South America in the modern day, and we've got South America before named it in 1587. As you can see, it doesn't look quite right. It's more like this nowadays. Here's Chile and Lake Titicaca in modern times, and again here's Chile and Lake Titicaca in 1587. Both line up perfectly. But as you can spot the difference, on the 1587 map, Chile is about 1,000 miles inland. But nowadays, Chile is on the coast. And as you can see, that due to Chile's position with Lake Titicaca, Chile hasn't moved location in recent times. They both line up, new and old. Now, a simple indoctrinated mind would come to the same conclusion. The old world map makers are morons. I had a more realistic hypothesis. Between 1587 and the modern day, there has been a worldwide catastrophic event of destruction which caused massive earthquakes, tsunamis, floods and the seas to rise. Volcanoes blowing their tops causing ash
Jenny, how much love?
clouds that block the sun, causing a worldwide mini ice age. A mass depopulation event where the powers that be took the opportunity for a worldwide takeover and removal of our true timeline of history. And I know what you're thinking. Captain, have you been drinking seawater again? Nothing like that's happened in our
No, I think he's drinking rum. Good captain drinks rum. Everybody knows it.
recent history. A couple of years later, I needed provable answers, so I opened up a search engine and I asked a simple question. What was the average temperature of the 1700s? The average temperature during the 1700s was notably cooler, as this period was part of the Little Ice Age. The evidence and information surrounding this Little Ice Age...
So, in the Little Ice Age, apparently the trees grew really slow, and Stradivarius, the great violin maker, his violins are worth millions of dollars today, because he got some spruce that, took hundreds of years to grow real slow, and the grain was really tight, and it was the most perfect wood. He got this great, it was the mini ice age that caused these trees to grow really slow, and that's why we have great Stradivarius violins and cellos. I think he built some cellos too. But yeah, but that's why his wood sounded so good. The wood sounded good.
is enormous if you ask the correct questions and code words. But for now, it just spat this temperature graph at me. Can you see it? Between the 16 and 1700s, there's a massive spike referred to as the Little Ice Age. Now, don't be fooled by their spelling, their spellcasting. There was nothing little about this ice age. The indoctrination tells you...
Yeah, little, big, could have been big. I mean, any ice age would be a big ice age, in my opinion.
That these ice age events happen like every 10 or 20,000 years, and they last for thousands of years. But in reality, at least in recent history, these ice ages happen about every 400 to 700 years, and they last for about 200 to 300 years. Rinse and repeat. They're like clockwork. The Little Ice Age reached its coldest point during a 70-year period between 1645 and 1715, known as the Maronda Minimum. As you can see, between about 1630 and 1700, the sun was blocked. There's a couple of theories to how this ice age occurred, but there's only one which is logical in my opinion. Volcanic eruptions started happening sporadically around the Pacific from about 1611 onwards, causing volcanic dust to rise to the skies. This fallout blocked the sun, in some documented reports from Europe, for an entire year, from one of many eruptions. This, on multiple occasions documented throughout this period of time, caused a decrease of the world's temperature. 3 particularly cold intervals, one began around 1650, another about 1770, and the last in 1850, all of which were separated by intervals of slight warming. Massive magnitude earthquakes throughout this time period caused ginormous tsunamis worldwide, added with the extreme weather, high winds and torrential rainfall, added with freezing temperatures, this alone killed hundreds of millions.
How do we know that, man? For sure. I mean, I'm being skeptic. I'll be a skeptic. How do we know?
Now, with the mass amount of documented reports throughout this time period of volcanic activity, catastrophic 8 to 9.6 magnitude earthquakes, which are the highest grade and named great earthquakes that cause catastrophic damage and loss of life over vast areas, supposedly a rare event.
I've been through some earthquakes. Those are real. Oh, yeah. Bet your ass.
But during this time period, I've counted approximately 130 of these rare events. Now, going back to my hypothesis that I wrote years before asking the correct question, tsunamis don't explain worldwide permanent flooding and loss of massive areas of land. So I asked another question. What was the height of sea level in 1700? As you can see, directly related to the Little Ice Age.
He said sea level. Because, yeah, we know why.
As you can see, directly related to the Little Ice Age, around 1745, sea level started rising rapidly. Now, do I believe the accuracy and honesty of this graph? No, of course not.
Of course not.
But even if this rise of sea level was 10 times this, it wouldn't explain the huge loss of land that's been admitted worldwide. Well, admitted when you know the truth. When you take the multiple reports across the UK and Europe detailing the extreme weather, torrential rain that went on for 200 years, and in some cases reports of it not stopping raining for years on end, non-stop, catastrophic disaster after another, imagine what that would have done to the land beneath their feet, never mind what it would do to crops. But all that waterlogged, flooded land would cause not only for the sea levels to rise, but massive mudslides on land, explaining the aftermath of the mud flood that buried this world, a subject that I'll put together for you shortly. With the reported permanent loss of large areas of land like the Danish, German and Dutch losing huge amounts of their coastlines, another example on the other side of the world, in Jamaica, June the 7th, 1692, a massive 8 magnitude earthquake struck Port Royal, Jamaica, causing the town to sink into the sea, resulting in approximately 5,000 deaths due to the quake and later tsunami. 2/3 of Port Royal sank into the sea, with many buildings collapsing due to soil liquefaction. The earth opened up and swallowed many people. Most of the town's 2,000 buildings were destroyed, and many ships in the harbour were capsized. Now, even when you take...
Yeah, exactly, man. What mofo was taking temperatures, 1700s? What did they have, Yeah, there's a lot of, you know, I don't know. It's a lot of cuck going on, bro. A lot of cuck. Yeah, like, I don't know, man. How do they fucking know that?
Into account all of the documented sea level rises, torrential rain, flooding, mud floods.
This was Japan, man. I think it was Japan, and that was a tsunami, man. That was wicked, bro. That was wicked.
And armies. This doesn't explain all these countries reporting massive land loss and the obvious land loss between old and new world maps. Like I've shown you with Chile now being on the coast. And they even admit that this area had significant coastal loss due to the Little Ice Age. But there has to be a more logical explanation for this. Something's missing.
It's a big flood. It's a mud flood. It's Noah. Well, I don't know, man. Pick your flood. Pick your flood, people.
So I asked another correct question. Something that came to me in my dreams, in images, and something that at the time I didn't even know was a real thing. Can land break off continents and slide into the ocean? Yes, land can break off from continents.
So they had mercury thermometers, the 1600s? All right, yeah, they probably did. Yeah. Okay.
Slide into the ocean, a process often associated with landslides or movement of tectonic plates. However, this is typically a gradual process rather than a sudden event. Well, tell that to the Jamaicans in 1692 when their city rapidly fell into the ocean within minutes, causing all of the deaths.
The Jamaica man, the Rasta Bra.
Continents can break apart much easily than previously suspected. Shocker, right? These findings explain the origins of flat-lying zones, hilarious, of weakness known as the detachment faults developed at depths of 10 to 15 kilometres which were not previously understood. Their conclusion, the volcanic activity during the general crisis of the 17th century played a crucial role in shaping the environmental and social landscapes of the time, contributing to widespread instability and conflict. Now, before I show you some of the absolute sickening, stomach-churning atrocities of the direct results of this little ice age, researching this massacre as extensively as I did made me physically ill for a week afterwards. It was that bad. But before that, I have to explain this last part about the little ice age.
He was sick because he saw some sick shit? What? Let me back that up. Yeah, man. That looks wicked.
But before that, I have to explain this last part about the little ice age before the AI bot shills attempt to dismiss any of the facts and truths that I'm telling you. When you go onto the cults-controlled wiki page, it'll attempt to downplay the little ice age, not only by its name, but as it says. The little ice age was a period of regional cooling, particularly pronounced in the North Atlantic region. It was not a true ice age of global extent. What they're saying here is that this was not a worldwide weather event and didn't cause ice to form towards the north or south. But as always, all the evidence is on the contrary. Even the indoctrinated historians refuse this narrative.
He, of course, rubbishes the Little Ice Age as episodic, minor, and, quote, largely independent regional climate changes rather than a globally synchronous increased glaciation, end quote. But if glaciers began advancing rapidly in the 14th century around the world and then retreated rapidly starting in the 19th and into the 20th century, it takes a special kind of determination to call it a regional blip. And that sort of resistance to the concept of the Little Ice Age is exactly the kind of denialism we're talking about here.
And there's dozens of scientific literature published proving that this was a worldwide weather event and did freeze our, at the time, unfrozen landmasses. Erica J. Hardy's study in the South Pacific with a 420-year history of isotope ratios, measured in samples taken from Australia's Great Barrier Reef. The results of Hendy's extensive study showed that salinity was higher in the mid-1500s through to the middle of the 19th, rather than in the 20th.
All right. So when you take a sample, man, you drill down and you get the different layers of, sand and rock or whatever, right? And then you examine those and you're like, oh man, look, there was some, it was cold here, it was hot here, it might have been, flooded here. I mean, it's an interesting thing, man, when they drill down and take samples. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? That's kind of what he was saying, right? I think that's what he was saying. I think that's what
ratios, measured in samples taken from Australia's Great Barrier Reef.
We took some samples. We got a hypothesis.
The results of Hendy's extensive study showed that salinity was higher in the mid-1500s through to the middle of the 19th, rather than in the 20th century. This proved that these southern regions' temperature was considerably lower during the time of the Little Ice Age. To have full access in the true horrors and direct consequences of the recent Ice Age, you have to type in a second and secret code name. The General Crisis of Humanity, or the General Crisis of 1700. And again, don't be fooled by its mediocre title. Now, this is not me connecting the Little Ice Age with the General Crisis of Humanity. This is the narrative connecting them, and this time it's not fooling you. It does not want you having this knowledge. These poor souls inherited this world from the ancients and old world civilizations just as we did, and just like your children's children will inherit what's left once our reset is complete. Impact of the Little Ice Age. The Little Ice Age not...
Alright, shout out to the chat. We got Jeeps. There's... We got CJ. What's up, man? People who knew how to read were not allowed to write down anything. They weren't allowed to write that shit down, man. Come on. I don't know. Interesting, man. This is good stuff, man. I don't know. You guys enjoying the... Dude, I've never seen this. People talking about it. Like, it was recommended. I'm like, oh, I'll do a live stream on it and let's see what's happening, man. What's going on with this? It's got 3,500 views, dude. Wow, big deal, bro. I mean, the largest TikTok people, man, they get 3,500 views a second. I'm like, we got 3,500 views in what, a week or two or whatever.
Not only caused agricultural failures, but also contributed to a broader social transformation. The stresses of climate change accelerated shifts towards more modern economic systems as traditional feudal structures began to break down under the pressures of the crisis. The general crisis of the 17th century included widespread famine due to failed harvests, particularly exacerbated by the Little Ice Age, which caused severe weather conditions and agricultural shortfalls. This led to significant population declines and social upheaval across various regions, including China and Europe. Unusual cold and lack of rainfall in the summer seasons.
That's right, Connie. We got layers and layers and layers, man. Layers of truth, layers of lies. I mean, there's a lot of layers we're dealing with here, man. But yeah, I'm trying to follow along here, man. I hope you guys find it interesting. I find it interesting. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks. Thank you, guys. All right, let's keep going.
Europe. Unusual cold and lack of rainfall in the summer seasons. Wars and revolutions disrupted over agricultural production. Heavy taxation, difficult to sustain their livelihoods. Many regions experienced significant population losses due to starvation, disease, malnutrition-related illnesses, including the Black Death, which the conditions of the Ice Age only fueled. Food shortages led to revolts and increased crime as desperate populations sought resources. In Paris, France, during the civil strife of 1648 to 1653, there was a succession of 7 years of very heavy rainfall. The population loss there was 1/3 during the summer of 1649. Villages in Paris lost 1/4 of their inhabitants. Nobody could cope with such misery. That's 1/3 of the population of cities like Paris dead after 1 year of famine. Another famine in France between 1693 and 1694 killed 10% of France's entire population. France alone had 111 major famines over a 200-year period during the Little Ice Age.
Damn.
During famines across the UK and Europe, cannibalism was reported as desperate measures for survival, and I've read accounts of this happening worldwide until the late 1800s. Survival cannibalism was not only legalised, but pushed towards it when faced with starvation.
That's
Where do you think the phrase eating one's own children comes from? In one account that I read, a dismembered body of a 3-year-old girl was seen. Some parts were...
Hold on. Have you guys ever heard that term, one eats its own children? I've never heard that. Dude, I've been out here in the game for a long time. But
think the phrase eating one's own children comes from.
where the fuck does that come from? And I've never heard of it. Why is it being brought up now, man? I mean, maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm uneducated. I don't know. I've never heard that term, man. No. That sounds like super cock, man. There's fucking something wrong with that, bro. Yeah, eat your own children. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Where do you think the phrase eating one's own children comes from? In one account that I read, a dismembered body of a 3-year-old girl was seen. Some parts were boiling in a pot on the fire, while others had apparently been consumed. The girl's mother assured that the child had died of natural reasons. Turn to cannibalism, eating corpses, deliberately killing others, most often children, for consumption. 2 factors put children specifically at risk. They could be more easily snatched and killed than adults, and their flesh was often considered more palatable. People resorted...
Dude, I've been down every rabbit hole with Illuminati baby eaters. You know what I'm saying? These are Mongos. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I've seen it all, but yeah, I didn't hear about I don't know. It's some wicked world, man.
...to eating their own children due to starvation.
Bless you guys.
Across Europe, records show that 1 in 4 children died before their first birthday, and half of them didn't even reach the age of 20. I've read stories of mothers taking their children out into frozen forests and leaving them to freeze to death because they couldn't feed them. Malnutrition prevented them from producing milk. Stories of men riding their horses in such freezing conditions that the horse's skin freezes and they're able to slice flesh off the horse's back and eat it while the horse, being so numb, doesn't even feel it, and the wound would freeze within seconds. During this period, another...
That's pretty wicked. That's fucking wicked, man. Damn.
Previous resets, the cult loved their paintings, often referred to as the Massacre of Innocents. Paintings worldwide of true events where children are being brutally murdered for consumption.
Wow. Yeah, there's some weird. Damn, what a world,
This particular painting was created by a piece of shit called Pierre Bugel, named The Massacre of Innocents. This oil painting was later painted over, but originally it pictured children being dragged from their mother's arms and being murdered upon orders of the king and church.
Did you guys ever see the Beatles Butcher album? Oh my God, dude. The Butcher album. The Beatles. The British Beatles. The Beatles. They had an album, man, where they're eating children and shit. I can't make it up, man. Yeah. Like, what the fuck kind of cuck shit are you thinking, bro? Why the fuck would you do that?
A mother weeping over a dead child, begging for mercy, kicking in people's doors, snatching children, stabbing children, stabbing them with spears. Personally, I think paintings like this should be burned, but this particular painting is on the dining room wall of Windsor Castle, the home of the King of the United Kingdom. Absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, it's pretty cock. I give him that. Yesterday and today, man.
Catastrophic population losses worldwide. Food shortages affected both human populations and livestock, resulting in a high mortality rate amongst animals due to the lack of feed and resources. Increased prices for remaining livestock caused social unrest, and this explains why the pre-reset people's timeline were building huge greenhouses. They were protecting their crops from the elements of the Little Ice Age.
There you go. That's why they came up with the Crystal Palace. Oh, interesting. Yeah, you're right, man. Holding babies and the raw meat on the cover. Dude, it's called the Butcher album, man. Wow. What a shit show, man. Damn fuckers.
There's too many events like wars, civil wars, massacres and other horrors that's directly related to the Little Ice Age and the general crisis of humanity to even mention, but here's a list of a few that I personally researched. The general crisis contributed to the conditions that ignited the American Revolution in 1775, but due to the conditioning, most Americans today still believe it was over the English adding a tax on tea. This era was marked by various massacres, civil wars and disputes, with an enormous loss of life. In 1709 alone, Paris, France had temperatures dropping to -15 for extended periods. The extreme cold led to famine and hypothermia and caused an estimated 600,000 deaths by the end of 1710. Sea ice surrounded Iceland, trapping its population. Then its volcano Laki blew its top, killing over half its population in a single day. Finland's winter of 1696 to 97 killed 40% of its population in 1 year's famine. Estonia, the same winter, 1696 to 97, killed 50% of its population. Rivers across the world, like the Thames in London, would freeze over with a foot deep of ice and house the Thames Frost Fairs from 1607 to 1814. Now, before I go through the world's death rates during the Little Ice Age and the general crisis of humanity, I want to show you how the AI hides all of this from you, how sneaky it is. I'm going to type into a search engine, the fall of the Ming Dynasty, but you can ask about anything related to the Little Ice Age and you'll find the same deception. I specifically asked about its fall. And as you can read down every link, scrolling for hours and hours, you won't find any mention of the Little Ice Age or the general crisis of humanity. Because they don't want you connecting the truth of our past. But let's type in another question. We won't use the word fall, as in the fall of the Ming Dynasty. We'll just type in Ming Dynasty. But this time we'll include the code name, the Little Ice Age. The Little Ice Age significantly impacted the Ming Dynasty and contributed to the dynasty's decline and eventual fall in 1644, the same time period that Tartaria was wiped out and removed from history, something I'll put together for you later. Now, the AI does this because it knows that you know the truth already, so it gives you the second narrative. We've got what I call the mainstream narrative, the usual dog shit taught in schools, the cults indoctrination camps. Then we've got the narrative, what they'll admit to when you already know the truth. Then of course we've got the actual truth, the deep dive that uncovers the true horrors of reality. Another quick example. Ask for the population of China in 1600 and it states a massive population incline. Add the Little Ice Age to the question and it states that there was a massive population decline during exactly the same period. Asking the same question, same search engine, within a minute of each other, and it gives two opposite answers. By 1850, China had lost 95% of its population, but the mainstream would tell you that they went from 150 million to 400 million during the Little Ice Age and general crisis of humanity. This dumbass AI can't fool me. AI is no match compared to an enlightened human brain and heart. On to each country's death rates. No search engine will give you approximate numbers or percentages, but they will tell you, for example, the Ming Dynasty at the time collapsed, causing the deaths of all of their 300 million inhabitants. Being the majority of China at the time, and including all the other accounts of major famines, civil wars and catastrophic destruction of the area and loss of life throughout this period, I can take all of this information that I've consumed on this subject and state a fairly accurate estimate on most countries' population declines that had good record keeping at the time. The Ming Dynasty, 100% dead, 300 million. That's the current population of America. The country called California, 100% dead.
Whoa. The country of California? I live in California. I didn't know it was a country. I could see it being a country. It's a pretty cool place, but yeah.
Of America. The country called California, 100% dead. Approximately 10 million. And I'll get into California later, but this is not...
Wait, 10 million? Dead?
Dead. Approximately dead. 300 million. That's the current population of America. The country called California, 100% dead. Approximately 10 million. And I'll get into California later, but this is not California of today. No different to Tartaria, a country and its people destroyed during the Little Ice Age and removed from history. A landmass 4 times the size of Europe. Only difference, California was completely destroyed and sunk to the depths of the Pacific.
So what? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck. What are these?
From history. A landmass 4 times the size of Europe.
4 times the size of Europe? What the fuck?
Only difference, California was completely destroyed and sunk to the depths of the Pacific.
Ain't no way California's fucking 4 times the size of Europe, man. No, ain't buying it. It's big, don't get me wrong, but I ain't 4 times the size of Europe. I mean, with France and UK. No, get the fuck out of here.
The Norse clans on Greenland, 100% dead, approximately 10 million. Iceland, 100% dead, 200,000. Rapa Nui, aka Easter Island, 100% dead. France, 99% dead. And as
this is, okay, 99?
odd as that may sound, I have good reason, and once you start researching this reset yourselves, you'll know what I mean. It's almost impossible that the French survived this. The early first wave of American settlers, 95% dead. What's now referred to as American Indians, 95% dead.
Fuck, I'm American Indian. I'm still here, bro. Or, I'm a 5%er.
Approximately 100 million. And it wasn't because of smallpox.
100 million? Get the fuck out of here.
Unless smallpox is a code name for genocide. Tartaria, 80% dead, approximately 300 million. Again, I'll get onto the Tartarians later.
There's your Griffin.
Finland, 95% dead. Estonia, 95% dead. Ireland, 90% dead. Germany, 80% dead. Spain, 70% dead. England, 70% dead. The Dutch had its supposed golden age between the late 1500s and 1700s, but they were still on their knees like the rest of the world, with a 50% population decline by 1800. The only country that actually had a population increase, and I actually mean that only one, guess which? And no, it's not India, even though our brothers and sisters over there are at it like rabbits. It's actually Scotland. My family are Scots, both sides. My mum's from Stranraer and my dad's from Glasgow. Norse and Scottish genetics suits my soul well. Us Scots have got grit. Every nation...
The freaking Scots have got grip.
...is turned upside down, leading some great minds to suspect that we are approaching the end of the world. Kind of sounds like nowadays, right? This lot thought Jesus was coming to save them too. Like I said, rinse and repeat. Now bear in mind, the mainstream narrative claims that nearly every masterpiece structure around us was built around 1800. All while the world's population was down to 10% and people were still eating their own children to keep themselves alive for a couple more weeks before they starved to death themselves. Not to keep themselves alive for a couple more weeks before they starved to death themselves. Not bad, right? But dig a little deeper and we don't see the mass building of masterpieces worldwide. We find empty, dead cities worldwide. Inferno after inferno as they burn the remnants of the perished and the massacred populations. It's easier to burn these places to the ground than it is to clear them by hand. Great fires in almost every city worldwide during the same time frame. Entire massive built-out cities ablaze with narratives like someone dropped a candle or burnt some bread that caused...
Oh, yeah, it was a cow knocked over the candle. It was a cow. Damn cow. It's all the cow's fault.
An entire city to burn. Most of the time, no or little reported deaths. There's no one that could have burned to death. They were dead already. Fire cleared and cleaned.
There you go. That makes sense. Damn.
One that could have burned to death. They were dead already. Fire cleared and cleaned the land for our timeline's period, but it's evident that this was more than fire. These areas look more like war zones, protecting certain areas and structures that were selected to keep. I'd say it was more like something they dropped on Hiroshima or Nagasaki in 1945.
Don't go there, bro. Don't go there. Yeah, they dropped a big bomb on it, but yeah, I got questions about that. I got a lot of questions. The cow, yeah, farted next to the candle. George Thorogood. I love George Thorogood, man.
Before I go on to the next subject, this previous reset that I've just shown you wasn't the only reset that I found. I found all of them.
A lot of questions, Connie. You got that right.
Now, I'm not going to go into the others as they're irrelevant to the bigger picture and what I truly want to show you. Plus, in my opinion, our future is more important right now than our possible ancestors' past. You can identify all previous resets by following science on climate, isotope ratios, that kind of thing. They always coincide with catastrophic events and reported massacres and mass death events throughout history records. The truth is always hidden in plain sight. You've just got to piece it together. As the world emerged out of its ice age in the mid to late 19th century, the survivors were met with the remnants of the old world and the new world that they inherited. Disaster had reshapen and decimated the landscape around them and buried it deep in hardened mud, debris and the remains of the masses that had perished. These survivors were fully aware of the events that had passed. Stories were passed down and even put into early films of the times, like the 1944's Meet Me at St. Louis, set during the 1904 World's Fair.
Sugar. You spoil your dinner.
Papa, we saw the Galveston flood. Big waves came up and flooded the whole city. And when the water went back, it was all muddy and horrible, full of dead bodies. Oh.
As hard as the court have tried to completely remove these undeniable events of our recent past, the evidence speaks for itself. I've purposely taken photos from all over the world, from China, Russia, the UK, all over Europe, India, Africa, Egypt, America, Australia, and many other locations across this realm. This was worldwide and caused by the direct results of the Little Ice Age, and digging out all of this dirt must have been back-breaking work for that generation. I like this photo, it speaks 1,000 words. These two geezers over here. This bloke on the left, he's got charisma. This guy loves his job. He's a professional digger, a happy man in his work. Where this guy, you can just tell he just hates his job. Slumped over, probably wanted to be like a ballet dancer or something. Not a happy man. But luckily for him, trains were invented. They just had to locate and dig up all the buried train tracks, as places like America already had an entire rail network pre-reset. Clear all the bridges.
Whoa, manga. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen this map before. You guys have seen it, right? Yep. That's our railroad. Wait. Pre-reset? Pre-reset? Oh, shit, Mongo. Okay. We're in some shit here, man. They just dig it all out. And
They already had an entire rail network pre-reset. Clear all the bridges. Sorry, I mean...
What the fuck, what year is that? 1890. 1890. Boom. We got it everywhere.
An entire rail network pre-reset. Clear all the bridges. Sorry, I mean build all the bridges. Tunnel through entire mountains and find themselves a few working trains. Now trains have been invented, again, they could start loading all that dirt at a lot faster speed. And over the years, our early timelines people started reverse engineering the pre-reset timelines tech like steam engines and airships. Most mistake this type of technology as ancient or old world tech. This technology was created by our pre-reset timelines people between 1250 and 1650.
Dude, this guy's laying out a lot of claims here, man. Laying out a lot of claims, bro. I mean,
it had nothing to do with the peoples that built structures like these. And I'll undeniably prove this later on. The connection between the Little Ice Age, weather events and mud floods. The Little Ice Age was characterised by prolonged periods of heavy rainfall which saturated the ground. This saturation made it more likely for mud floods to occur, especially in areas with steep terrain or loose soil, that could inundate nearby structures. Historical accounts from the Little Ice Age documented instances of flooding and mudslides that affected communities. These records often described the destruction of homes and public buildings, indicating that many structures were lost or severely damaged during this period. These are old world houses. As you can see, mud flooded. As always, when the land around these structures was excavated, the original ground floor level was unearthed. And as you can see, this wasn't the structure's basement, the cellar. This original...
What's up, Larry? Fucking Mongo. Fuck. You were there. I was there too, bro. I was there, bro. We were there. We were, you know... We could document that shit, bro. 100%. Yeah. No, we weren't there.
As you can see, mud flooded. As always, when the land around these structures was excavated, the original ground floor level was unearthed. And as you can see, this wasn't the structure's basement, the cellar. This original ground floor level had windows and doors. Glazed windows facing dirt. Makes no sense, right?
That's my favorite evidence for like a mud flood, a flood, a catastrophic event. I don't know what it could have been, electrical for all I know. But yeah, that look at that, man. It was like shit's buried, and they're like, "Hey, man."
And like every old world structure, this stone-looking building is just a red brick building with a geopolymer rendering to look like stone. This ancient structure, now called the Mormon Temple in Utah, North America, was supposedly dedicated in 1893, wanting us to believe that its construction was finished in 1893. But as you can see with all ancient and old world structures around the world, this building is severely mud flooded, and always has been since the start of our timeline. This
shout out to Martin Leakey, man. He was the one that brought this to everybody's attention. I remember. I was there. You guys remember as well.
Structure has been excavated twice during our timeline. First in the 1970s, the dotted line shows our timeline's ground level and the original arched doorway to the original ground level floor, and showing the full height of the mud flooded windows. This structure was buried by approximately 15 foot of mud. The majority of the mud floods happened between the time of 1600 to 1750. Supposedly, this structure wasn't constructed until 1893. So that means one of two options. This building was mud flooded 200 to 300 years before it was constructed, or this building was here pre-mud flood. In reality, this structure isn't 132 years old. This is an ancient building and is at least 2,000 years old. During this next period of time, all we get are empty cities, built out, immaculate, but clearly old structures and infrastructure all over the world, including countries like America, Canada and Australia. During a timeline where the narrative says all of these mud-flooded buildings were being built, all we ever find of their supposed construction are photos of primitive wooden scaffolds surrounding palaces that shouldn't exist, being painted by teams of painters. I've even managed to find out what it says on this painter's hat. Then all of a sudden, boom, filled out cities. After the direct results of the Little Ice Age, the following crisis of humanity and the decimation of the world's population, where did all these people come from?
We got to repopulate, man. Where the fuck did all these people come from if you know, everything's devastated? Oh, the Cabbage Patch Kids or the orphan trains or the insane asylums? I mean, there's a lot of crap involved with, like, where the fuck did all these people come from, man?
Now, the narrative will say it was just down to the immigration and migration of the British and Europeans. And I'm not saying there wasn't immigration going on at the time, but due to the fate of them early settlers and the harsh climate during the recent Ice Age, Westerners were very apprehensive about immigrating to these new worlds. No matter how many offers and incentives to move there, like all the posters and pamphlets distributed at the time, offering millions of pre-built old world houses given away for free, and offers of millions of cheap square miles of land that they wouldn't have to pay for up front. Free.
What the fuck? Hold on. Millions of acres for free. Get the Nebraska.
Free transport across the Atlantic and set up grants to get living the American dream. We'll dig a wee bit deeper and we get a different repopulation story. While hidden in plain sight, the second narrative will admit a more sinister recent past. Over 540,000 children were distributed to and across America alone. In the community, more commonly...
450,000. You hear that? 450,000.
More sinister recent past. Over 540,000 children were distributed to and across America alone. In the community, more commonly known as the orphan trains. Now, were these poor children orphaned by the horrors of the previous reset, or was there a more sinister explanation to this? The next part is more of a question on my behalf. The incubator babies. Were these really incubator?
The incubator babies. Incubator babies. You guys know I make fun of this stuff, man. Incubator babies, Illuminati baby eaters, yeah. Incubator babies, man. Incubator babies. This is so weird, man. It's so weird.
A question on my behalf. The incubator babies. Were these really incubators as we know and use them today? Or was this a period of time between 1860 and 1920 where they were creating humans?
Oh, fuck, I've heard that one too, man, right? Oh, shit, they're creating humans.
Genetically modified organisms.
Fuck yeah, no shit, Larry. These motherfuckers are evil as fuck, man. You guys.
And is this where we get all of our soulless non-player characters that surround us? This despicable Jew's name is Martin Arthur Kearney, an apprentice obstetrician who worked under the obstetrician, another despicable Jew called Pierre Constant Burdin. After the main repopulation of the world, Kearney, known as the Incubator Doctor, travelled the world's fairs across the world, with his freak show circus type attraction of incubator babies boasting real
Get the fuck, Mongo, the fuck, what the...
live human babies on display. This received worldwide attention and press coverage. Now, where was this parasite getting his constant supply of live babies from? My mum loves me with every fibre of her soul, and I was born weighing 10 pounds and looked like a potato. She couldn't even have a cup of tea without me drinking it. So what mother would give over their new or premature baby?
Thank you, Connie. Get some rest. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna end it here shortly, and then I'll pick it up maybe tomorrow or Saturday or something. It's a long another hour. I'm not gonna make another hour for sure, but yeah. Thanks for hanging out, Connie.
To a sack of shit like this during a time frame when every country's population had been severely reduced and begging for people to populate them cities. Were these mothers selling their unwanted babies, or were these babies motherless and being created unnaturally? Another topic on this subject, known as the asylums, hundreds if not thousands of these old world buildings were dedicated to being so-called asylums, running between the 17 and the 1800s. The narrative may say that these were lunatic asylums, but do you actually think the hardy, tough survivors of this time, after everything they've been through during the past reset, would care enough about people with mental disorders and supposedly build thousands of stone palaces to help the supposed mentally ill?
Yeah,
mind,
no,
these
that ain't
aren't the
gonna fucking
snowflakes
happen,
that surround
Mongo.
us today.
Oh,
These survivors
shit.
had grit.
Dude,
The narrative will tell us that these lunatic asylums...
No, those fucking fucks, man, they're gonna build asylums. The sane asylums, man. I bring it up to some of these newbies coming into the subject, man. I'm like, hey, do you know about insane asylums? And they're like, oh, what are those? You know, like, dude, the wicked history of these insane asylums is fucked up, man. It's fucking,
supposedly build thousands of stone palaces to help the supposed mentally ill. Bear in mind, these aren't the snowflakes that surround us today. These survivors had grit. The narrative will tell us that these lunatic asylums were more about containing the patients like prisoners rather than treating them. That these prisoners were abused, tortured and raped.
All right. So, yeah, my theory is that anybody that spoke out against this reset, they sent them to these places. Like, oh, we got to send them, get them a lobotomy, man. Let's do some crazy shit. Yeah, fuckers. Those fucks. Yeah, you guys, yeah. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Rather than treating them. That these prisoners were abused, tortured and raped. So why supposedly build, more like dedicate, these massive amazing palaces to just use them as a prison and abuse the inmates? It makes no sense, right? These were clearly not lunatic asylums,
right?
Nor were they built in their AI-faked history timeline. All of these structures are wood-flooded. Every single supposed asylum that I've looked at. These asylums were either a temporary housing for people immigrating to places like America, possibly housing for children coming in, or even possibly breeding facilities. Of the most bizarre and disturbing topics of this repopulation subject are the mass amounts of symbolic posters and postcards implicating growing and selling babies during the 1890s and 1920s. These are not cute vintage art. France has hundreds of great...
It's not cute vintage art. These... Wild. Check that. That's fucking... Yeah, I've seen this before.
These are not cute vintage art. France has hundreds of great examples of these, but as you can see, they were posted all over the world, including America. You'll see the word à vendre, and this means for sale. As this one says on the back, dated 1907, sent to the US. Dear L, don't you think they are very pretty on the other side? If so, hurry up and order one before they get sold. Duff from Agi. This one actually has the children's names written on the individual toddlers. And if we look on the back, the same handwriting. It doesn't sound like a joke, does it? Children were being sold worldwide. And you might think, why would you advertise them like this? Would you rather choose your GMO baby by this picture or something more realistic? A part of our recent history that the mainstream narrative doesn't want you knowing about, as the chances are you may be a descendant of one of these GMO non-player characters.
In the 1900s, my dad was an incubator baby in Coney Island. He was on display. They had just invented the incubator. He was.
Yeah, incubator baby.
Baby in Coney Island. He was on display. They had just invented the incubator. He was.
They went to the moon.
You could literally tell me anything, I'd believe.
No, it's true.
No, it's true, man. It's totally true, man. Come on.
Ask yourself, what was your great-grandparents' names? Or their parents' names?
Oh, shit.
Probably blank, right?
Yeah, I got a hell of a lineage.
These now called catacombs are under every ancient and old world cathedral and church worldwide.
You guys
More well known in Paris, but the size of France's catacombs only validates the mass death there. All bones dated during the...
It's one of the creepiest things I've ever seen in my life, dude. Catacombs. I mean, what the fuck, bro? I mean, you got your hip bones lined up, you got your skulls, and you got your femurs, and you're just lining up the bones. What the heck is going on, man? It's beyond any horror movie, anything I've ever seen in my life. How the fuck? What the fuck? Auto parts store, cuck shit show, Larry. Yeah. It's beyond fuck all, man. What the hell's with the catacombs, bro? I mean, you can take Flat Earth, you can take Tartaria, get into, whatever it is, man. Ain't nothing weirder. Tunnels, Illuminati, baby. Why were they stacking bones, bro? What the fuck?
Who validates the mass death there. All bones dated during the Little Ice Age. Coincidence, right? After the past reset, these remains were lying.
You're a twisted individual, Larry. Replacement parts. I like it. I need a new hip. You got one laying around? Yeah, I got one over here. Just cut you open and, throw you a new hip.
After the past reset, these remains were lined in old world tunnels originally built to feed the city's water supplies. Presented in a symbolic, demonic, disrespectful manner, most known catacombs, only small sections are permitted to the public, but they admit to them having hundreds of miles that are restricted. People actually pay to see the bones of the massacred ones, rows of dead children, and they find this fascinating. Something I can only explain as trophies of the court. And it won't be a coincidence that they're under every old world power station, nor why they surround these so-called churches with graves of rotting bodies of the dead. Graves that only date after the last reset. That's all I've got to say on this disgraceful subject.
All right, I'm going to stop it here. I'm going to go to bed. But good seeing you guys. I'm an hour and 4 minutes in. Yeah, I'm going to pick it up another day. But it might be tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday. Or I don't know. But, yeah, it was good. Interesting stuff, man. Yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out, man, for a minute. Appreciate it. But, Yeah, wicked stuff, man. I mean, I've seen all this shit for years. I'm not surprised by any of it, you know. Right, Larry? I mean, come on. Yeah, take you down in the tunnels. Check it out. Right on. Everybody, man. What's up, Jeeps? All right, I got to go.